This lecture covers Chapter 19, Ethical Issues in Laboratory Management. Managers of organizations operate in a community and a society. Therefore, our human values of ethics and morality must be incorporated into the ethics of management. This is because management ethics involves management activities that can encompass all of the good or bad of our humanity. On a daily basis, laboratory managers encounter issues related to personnel, education and training, finance, marketing, standards, and regulations. Ethical conduct plays a role in these daily activities of the laboratory manager. This lecture will present ethical theories, categories of ethical principles, and the ethical decision-making process. Following successful completion of this chapter, the learner will be able to discuss the importance of the ethical issues in laboratory management, identify the ethical principles at stake when faced with a moral dilemma, identify areas of laboratory management that may face ethical issues, recognize boundaries of ethical laboratory management and its value, and delineate and discuss the ethical decision-making process for laboratory management. Laboratory management activities where ethics plays a role. We have confidentiality of the information, fraud and abuse of charges, fraud and misconduct of data, marketing and advertising, quality of services, profits, human resource issues such as workers' salaries, working conditions, drug testing, conflict of interest, and regulatory compliance. Ethical theories. Most ethical theories, concepts, and principles deal with one or more of the three important parameters or categories. We have the actor, the act, and the outcome. The theories that deal with the actor and his or her character traits are called virtue ethics. Ethical conduct, therefore, is determined by the person's virtuous characteristics such as honesty, honor, courage, humanity, benevolence, fairness, and temperance. Ethical behavior requires learning good behavior and practicing it. Ethical leadership greatly depends on virtue ethics. The leadership sets the tone for the organizational culture in terms of honesty, courage, fairness, and wisdom of decisions. The theories that deal with the act are within the second parameter listed. The concept of categorical imperative of what if everyone does it is a theory developed for the act parameter. This is basically a restatement of the golden rule, which requires that you treat others as you want them to treat you. In addition, advocates of natural rights may fall into this category since they contend that certain rights are endowed to us. These rights may include life, liberty, prosperity, freedom of thought, and freedom of religion, without any duties or obligations to others. The theories that deal with outcome, or the third category, are concerned with the consequence of the act or action by the actor. The theory of utilitarianism is based on the belief that our actions should have the best overall consequences for the large number of people. Cost-benefit analysis is a derivative of this theory. The social contract theory also falls within the outcome category, since people living in a society have obligations to the society by the very nature of accepting to live in a community and society. Figure 19-1, titled Ethical Conduct in Life. Let us imagine a very large circle representing the domain of ethical conduct in life. Ethical conduct governs societies in all areas of life, from family, community, and education to business and government. Imagine a small concentric circle within this large circle representing the domain governed by laws and related legal structures. Laws are areas in which society has decided to make unethical behaviors illegal and has provided remedies including punishment. The remaining area between the two circles are the ethical norms by which society expects us to abide. This is not to say that all laws in every society are ethical. The best example is that slavery was legal but yet unethical. The more the society is free, the greater the likelihood that its laws are ethical. It is important to derive simple ethical principles. One's ethical principles are not absolute rules. It is recommended to use these principles, but when they come in conflict with each other, we should choose which ethical principle will have a higher priority than the others. In fact, one can find a case whereby each of these ethical principles falls apart. The three broad categories of ethical principles are listed in this slide. We will only discuss a limited number of the most important subcategories of each category of ethical principles. Honesty is a crucial characteristic for managers in acquiring, recording, and manipulating the data. Trust among subordinates for honest leadership is important to promulgate good practices. Objectivity in reporting the information to patients, subordinates, or upper management is at the heart of the truthfulness of the data. Openness engenders public trust in the system. For example, if conflicts of interest exist, then transparency and managing the conflicts of interest become an important part of good management practices. This category of ethical principle involves subcategories of respect and the protection of autonomy, fairness, loyalty, and respect for subordinates and colleagues. In the area of respect and the protection of autonomy, each individual should have free and full rights for decision making. Managers have to comply with numerous directives from upper management, as well as inside policies and outside regulatory agencies. Therefore, autonomy can be limited because other forces come into play, such as issues of justice and serving the public good. In the area of fairness, we should allocate resources fairly. In addition, we should distribute the risks and benefits to the largest number of population. This is what is called social justice. We should not have a segment of society reaping benefits while another segment society takes all the risks that brought the benefit. In the area of loyalty, one should be loyal to his or her organization and to his colleagues as long as it is ethical. Respect for subordinates and colleagues is an extension of respect for others and extends courtesy to others to make their own free choice. This slide lists the subcategories of the ethical principle of social responsibility, which involves issues of do good and do no harm, public responsibility, obeying the laws and regulation, and efficiency. In the area of do good and do no harm, the two concepts are interrelated principles of doing good and preventing or not inflicting harm. Doing good denotes a positive action, whereas do no harm is a passive state of refraining from harm. Now that we have discussed the ethical theories and principles, we can utilize them to guide us to make an ethical decision. An ethical decision is usually needed when there is a moral dilemma. In other words, there are moral choices one has to make. In a moral dilemma, you have two choices or more, such as, what is the right thing to do? How do you arrive at an optimal ethical decision? What values are involved and which ones have priority and why? All factors involved in an ethical decision-making process are listed in this slide. Figure 19-2, titled Ethical Decision-Making Process. The lab management text uses these steps to outline a detailed example of an ethical dilemma. Please refer to pages 480 to 483 to review how the ethical decision-making process was utilized for the case study presented in this chapter. Societies determine which ethical issues, if violated, will result in punishment. The area of laboratory management is a good example of how the legal circle has been widened over the years to provide legal remedies for violators of the ethical norms. Due to serious violations and concerns, in 1988, the federal government enacted into the law the Clinical Laboratory Improvement Amendment, or the CLIA. The second example is the passage in 1995 of the final rule for Medicare program, Physician Financial Relationship, which addressed the issue known as self-referral. A good number of laboratories were owned by physicians or members of their families. In some cases, physicians would order tests or unnecessary tests for their patients to be conducted in the laboratory in which they or members of their family had a financial interest. This practice was clearly unacceptable to the public and the government. In 1995, the final rule forbidding self-referral except under specified circumstances was issued by the government. Another example of an ethically troubling issue in a laboratory occurred in 2004 in Maryland General Hospital in Baltimore, Maryland. The allegations are that in over a year, hundreds of patients received incorrect HIV and hepatitis test results, and the patients were not notified. Some patients were HIV positive and were told the test was negative, and some the reverse. The laboratory personnel overrode the results from the controls. Moreover, a former laboratory worker complained to the management about the quality of tests without any results. The laboratory manager must comply with, first, continuous training and education. Second, apply standards of performance and quality. And third, provide sufficient resources for the performance of the tasks. Training and education in ethical issues in laboratory management is an essential component for managers. As potential laboratory managers, you need to be aware of potential ethical problems you may face. Not only do managers need to deal with a particular problem, but they also need to set the standard for ethical managerial competence and to set an example for others. In order for laboratory managers to be effective, they need to understand the ethical decision-making process and be able to analyze the particular moral dilemma they face. Ethical managerial leadership provides a setting for all to work in a cooperative and successful manner.